Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. Happy Thursday. Give everyone a minute to join. Awesome. While everyone's joining, I always like to ask where everyone's tuning in from. Feel free to drop your city or country. Sometimes we get people from all over joining. We do these webinars normally about every month. So I know we have some people who it's your first time, or you might be joining multiple times, which we always love to see friendly faces back. Oh, we have Canada, California, Florida, Montreal, Louisiana, Mexico, Los Angeles. We have lots of warm places on here. That's awesome. Brooklyn. Amazing. Awesome. Well, we're excited to have all of you today. Well, we're getting everybody joining, and I'm sure everyone's always like running late this time of day. I always like to start with a poll too. So today's webinar is going to be an Allowlisting masterclass, how to maximize your influencer ROI. And I'm curious how many of you have done Allowlisting on either Instagram, TikTok, both, or you're just beginning and looking to learn, just so you can get a lay of the land. We are going to cover basics, but we are going to do a little bit more advanced as well in here. Just because there are so many different layers of allow listing, especially when you switch them between Instagram and TikTok. So I'm curious to see how that is. And as as a reminder, the term allow listing has a lot of different terms. Some people call it whitelisting, allow listing. Spark ads is what it's called on TikTok. Branded content ads is what it's been called in the past on Facebook. So you might have heard all these different terms. These are all different forms of the same thing, which is allow listing. And I'll go over those definitions shortly. But so it looks like we have a few people that have done it on Instagram, a few people on both, and then we have a handful that are just starting out, which welcome. This is a really exciting unlock if you aren't already doing this for your brands. And you'll see we have a lot of stats to support why allow listing can really make your ad dollars go further. And that's why it was so important for us to do this webinar in general too. So excited to jump into it. So with that, let's kick things off. My name is Kristen Wiley. I'm founder CEO of Statosphere. And like I said, we do these webinars every single month. So you'll probably get some emails telling you about new ones we have coming up. We always are welcome to hear topics. If you have a topic that you want us to cover, we'd love to hear from you. But the categories we really focus on is everything digital, social media marketing, and influencer marketing. And that's because Statosphere, we are a platform that scales micro influencer marketing in a fraction of the time. My background is that I've been in the marketing space and within the marketing space, specifically the influencer marketing space, for over 10 years now. So I started my career back in 2011 managing mommy bloggers, and that slowly evolved to Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, you name it. And I just used all the different platforms out there and couldn't find one that really met my needs. So I ended up creating my own. So with Statosphere, we really focus on that micro and nano influencer space and helping brands scale. So really the problem we solve for is getting content at scale. We have brands doing hundreds and even thousands campaigns with thousands of creators in them. And if you want to do that on your own, it's going to take you thousands and thousands of hours. So that's really what our platform does. And then we also do help with that implementation for paid UGC ads, which is very much what we're going to be covering today with the allow listing. And I'll be talking about that. So with our solution, we take those thousands of hours, we turn it into only 1 hour to set up a campaign. You get an expert support, and you also get guaranteed content. We also can handle the fulfillment to the creators, and we have those analytics designed specifically for influencer marketing. So uh, if you are interested in chatting with us, please check out our website at joinstatus.com, and you'll see all about the different features we have and if it could be a good fit for you. But we do work with a bunch of different industries. Beauty, CPG are some of our top ones, and those do work really well with allow listing. I'll talk about some of the examples we've seen even with our own clients today and some of the success stories. And I always love to give examples because I feel like that's the best way to learn as you're building these out for your own brands as well. And then one other thing, I know we have some of our current clients on this call too, so I wanted to alert everyone to a new feature we just launched just in time for our webinar on Allow Listing. We have a new feature that allows really easy TikTok Spark ad codes. So instead of going back and forth with creators, you can purchase them with just 2 clicks right within the platform. You don't have to go back and forth with rights and contracts and all of that. It saves you tons of time, which is our motto, is to save marketers tons of time while scaling micro influencer marketing. So we're really excited about this new feature. So if you are also interested in learning more about our feature, I see Sam, our producer for this webinar, she's popped up, book a discovery call, chat with us. We'll tell you all about it and see if it's a fit for you. But with that, what are we going to cover today? So first, we're going to cover what is Allow Listing and why do brands need it? Because it's not as simple of an answer as it may seem, because there are so many terms for it. Then we're going to be covering the 3 types of Allow Listing, just explained in plain English, explained the way that I wanted it explained to me when I first started getting into this space, because like I said, the vocab makes it more confusing than it is. And then the third thing we're going to cover is best practices on TikTok, Instagram, and we're going to give those examples that I talked about. And then lastly, how to optimize your Allow Listing strategy and influencer ads. So how to optimize them over time for best results. So just also some housekeeping, this will be recorded and sent out. We always get a lot of questions about that. You'll get this recording sent to you in your inbox within 24 hours once it processes. So if you do have other people on your team that you want to share it with, or if you're trying to take notes, just know we will send you this recording afterward. So jumping right into it. So what is Allow Listing and why do brands need it? So what is Allow Listing? So like I alluded to at the top of this webinar, here are all the different terminology that has been used in the marketing space for what is Allow Listing. So these all mean the same thing, right? So Allow Listing refers to brands running paid ads, paid social media ads through a creator's account and handle. So that is what these mean. So the term whitelisting, branded content, dark posts, creator ads, branded content ads, UGC ads, these are all other terms that are typically mean whitelisting or slash allow listing. All many names, same concept is turning your brand's UGC into ads with minimal effort. Now, will say the one thing that it's not is taking and downloading, getting like a video asset from a creator. So if you actually download that creator asset and upload it into your ads tool, that is not Allow Listing because you're not running it through their account. So that's different. So Allow Listing is actually like running it through their account and handle. So I'm going to show you some examples on the next slide. So on Instagram, this is what it looks like. And on TikTok, this is what it looks like. So on Instagram, you can see it is called paid partnership with Rent the Runway. So this is an example where you can see the creator's handle. The box is over it, but that's her name there is like the main handle on it, but they're actually promoting it and putting ad spend through that creator handle and you can see that there. And then on TikTok, you can see the same thing here with the little sponsored box, and it still has Meredith, which is the name of the creator, and that is whose handle it's being run through. So you can see why already just by looking at these, why they probably why you can guess they perform better. They feel a little bit more authentic and less like ads because you can see the actual human who's attached to it and their account, right? So now when you click through the ad, it actually will go to whatever, landing page you have set up as well. So the toggle, I see a question. So the toggle now indicates there is spend behind it. Yes, correct. So that means that they are putting spend behind the piece. Now, I will say you can put a partnership tag on Instagram and it not have spend behind it. So I do think it still says paid partnership for those, but it all depends on how it's coming up in your feed as well. So you'll see that. And I will also caveat this with they're constantly changing this, and even the way I view sometimes a sponsored ad on my account versus someone else on our team looks different. So they're still testing a lot of different pieces as well. So there are 3 main types of Allow Listing on TikTok and Instagram. So the first type is Spark ads. That's the easiest. That's the one on TikTok. TikTok, they are called Spark ads. There's only one vocab there, and that's what it is. On Instagram, there's 2 types. There's partnership ads, and then there's what's called manual Allow Listing. And I'm going to break down exactly the benefits of each of these and how to do them shortly. And yes, this will be recorded, just as a reminder. And sent to you. And note all types of Allow listed ads contain the creator's username somewhere in it. So we'll get through that as well. So why allow listing? It instantly improves your paid social performance. So I want to get to the stats. So if you're working on your team and you're trying to get more ad spend to use in this category, here are the stats that you would want to show your boss. So first of all, Instagram came out with a stat saying that creator ads outperform business as usual ads 99% of the time. So if you when they did a study comparing in-house created versus creator ads, they performed better 99% of the time. So that tells you right there that there's a huge opportunity if you're not using them already. Also, creator ads result in 15% higher return on ad spend on Instagram, also reported by Meta. And then lastly, Spark ads outperform non-creator ads across the board. So if you look at a Spark ad data, so TikTok actually took all the Spark ad data versus normal ad data, and they found that the completion rate was 30% greater, engagement rate was 142% higher, and the CVR was over 43% higher as well. So within that, on TikTok, CPG's brands running Spark ads saw a 96% paid media return on ad spend versus other channels. So these aren't small numbers. Like, these are almost double in a lot of cases in terms of the engagement, ROAS, and other pieces. So this is why it's should be such an important part of your paid spend. So why allow listing? Because you need to optimize your ads by making them more human. So TikTok's mantra is make TikToks, not ads. So their entire ad platform, that's like their tagline. And it makes sense. Spark ads feed right into it. This is a real person who created on their account, who's proud enough, posted on their account, and then you're sparking it, right, to show to more people. One other stat that was interesting is unboxing Spark ads earned 43% more conversions versus non-creator unboxing ads, which is also just wild because it seems like such similar content, but clearly there's some secret sauce with it being a real person doing it versus something that's manufactured. I think people are starting to understand and have this like BS meter for if it is something that is brand produced versus a real person produced, which we're going to talk about later, how the more raw the content and the less production value, it actually makes them perform better as well. But I think that that's something to keep in mind. And it's very different shift than it was, years ago. So most top performing Spark ads do look like raw content. They look like they were filmed on an iPhone off the cuff, not a lot of great editing, like a nice storytelling, but not necessarily the most beautiful product shots. Actually, that tends to be a red flag for people to not want to look at the content. So consumers face perfection fatigue with ads. So unfiltered video ads filmed on a smartphone are 63% more likely to drive purchases versus the high production value videos as well. So, and just think about that. If you've been on TikTok or Reels and you're scrolling and all of a sudden you get this beautifully produced, what looks like an ad, I don't even process it. I just swipe immediately versus if it looks like all the other pieces of content I'm consuming. So how allow listing increases influencer marketing ROI? So first of all of these creators, are considered in the influencer marketing category. They're posting on their accounts. So I truly believe that anyone who can influence a buying decision is an influencer. So it's really true user generated content, real people talking to real people. And when you collaborate at scale and do micro influencer at scale, you can squeeze way more value out of the ad assets and creatives. So I tell our brands all the time, the biggest mistake I see is you run an influencer campaign, you get 500 people posting, and then you get all that great brand awareness, but then you don't even repurpose them in any ads. And if you do that, you can just squeeze so much more ROI out of the campaign that you just ran. The next piece is saving time. So instead of having to stress over ad creatives, come up with all these different concepts, do all those different like scripting, getting talent, doing all these different pieces. Creators already know how to engage with their audience. Get 100 of them posting, pick your favorite 10 that arise from it. They'll come up with stuff that you've never even imagined, and it'll save you so much time. And then third, maintain an always on social strategy. So avoid getting buried by the algorithm by making sure that you have a consistent strategy. So more UGC reduces the burden of content creation for brands. So I just talked to a brand yesterday and they were like, I just need assets so I can create this content, right? So influencer marketing always on is constantly giving you content that you can test and that you can optimize through your allow listing and Spark ads. And then why allow listing? Empower creators to create their best content. So I come from actually being a creator first before I moved over to the brand side. And I think this is so exciting for creators because it gives them more upside. Because now you're providing them more value so that they can now charge more for their allow listing as well. And I think that there's many ways that you can approach it with the creators, but overall it's raising the bar for all creators because they want to be chosen for this allow listing. So all incentives are aligned. The creator's incentive is to create the best piece of content that's going to resonate with the audience, and that's what you're looking for too, which I think brings better competition and just overall better content. And then why allow listings here to stay? So social platforms are staples of product discovery via search, social search. We all know that. 86% of Instagram users would purchase a product recommended by someone else on the app. And 92% of TikTok users claim they purchased something promoted on the app. Like 92%. That's insane. Although I also know that every single person I know that's on TikTok has said they've told me they bought something because of it, including myself, many things. And then the creator economy is now a $250 billion market. I mean, people know and are realizing that the way that people want to be marketed to is through other people that look like them, that remind them of themselves, not these models and modeled and manufactured ads. And we're starting to see this on a macro level. So 40% of Gen Z and millennials are now going to TikTok and Instagram to search before they go to Google. And we're seeing this across the board. So this graph here, what it's showing is where do consumers start their online product searches? And the main categories that are down are Amazon and search engines, both dropped for the first time significantly over the last 2 years, where all the other channels are up. So you have Walmart is interesting because they put a lot of effort into it. So they're up, but you have YouTube is up, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok is significantly up. So it's just like you can see the shift is starting to happen overall. And then social search is fueling the social shopping. So you can actually have your Spark ads show up in that search functionality as well. So now going into those three types of allow listing that I talked about earlier, and we're going to dive into the pros and cons of each. So I wanted to give a little graphic because can be confusing. So Instagram has manual allow listing and something called partnership ads. Then TikTok has just one type of allow listing, and it's called Spark ads. And just as a reminder, allow listing means that you are running the content and it's like through the creator's account, right? You're running the ads through their account. So on TikTok, they only have Spark ads. Instagram has manual allow listing and partnership ads. So we're going to start with manual allow listing, which this is actually Instagram's or Meta, I should say, Meta because it's Facebook and Instagram. It's their very first foray into allow listing. So this was like their old way of doing it, but there are still some benefits for doing it, and they haven't killed off this feature. I believe since it provides some unique benefits that the new partnership ads does not. Now, I also want to caveat that we've heard rumblings that they want to shut down this manual feature. You're going to see why, because it's very tedious, which is why they're pushing people to branded content ads. But it still provides so much more value that I think they can't rationalize killing it off. So let's go through what it is and why it is valuable. So manual allow listing is coordinating with creators to get ad permissions via Meta's business suite. So brands, when you do it this way, brands get unrestricted access to the creators to create custom ads via the creator's handle. Like you literally get the creators like vote by putting it on every piece. You can upload pieces of content that you want to run ads with, and it has that creator's handle. You can edit their content and then upload it, and it's running via that creator's handle. So brands can create also custom influencer engagement and lookalike audiences. It also gives you access to that creator's audience. So if that creator has 10,000 followers, you're not getting the names of the 10,000 followers, but you can create lookalike audiences based on those, which is incredibly powerful as well. So just think if that creator is creating a piece of content that she knows resonates with her audience, and then you can create a lookalike audience, taking her 10,000 and making it 500,000. That's really the power of manual allow listing. So that's where it's a lot more tedious, but you do get that really powerful piece, which is the lookalike audience on Meta. So the way that it works, this is definitely a simplified version of it, but step one, the creator would open Meta Business Suite and manually grant permission to use Facebook page by sharing their ad access with the brand. Then brands can manually create ads from scratch within the account. So you can select the creator's handle at the ad identity. So you actually can say, all right, I just like edited a brand new video, I upload it, I want to use the creator's handle on it, and you get full creative control and no limit to the number of ads that you can create with that creator's handle. So you'll notice, like, as a marketer, this is incredible if you can come to an agreement with the creator on doing manual allow listing with their account. But also, that creator has to trust the brand significantly, because that brand can run whatever they want on their account and there's no restrictions. So that's why I think that this is not very popular, although brands really love this form of allow listing. And then step 3, brands input those custom audiences into their ads manager, and create those lookalike audiences. So why would you use manual allow listing? So just like we said, a gold mine of customer insights, right? So you have the ability to optimize your creatives and targeting with first party data from that creator's audience. You can understand your best products, video length, captions. Like, it's a full access to that creator's ad account. You can then also create those lookalike audiences and refine over time. So those are like the reasons to use it. But there are also a lot of cons. So we already talked. The pros are near unlimited creative control and the ability to create custom lookalike audiences. Cons, it's really time consuming. You essentially have to, like, get on a call with the creator and go one by one. Like, it's very tedious to get those permissions. The process is hands on, requires tons of effort and coordination. So not really easy to really scale. And then creators have to give up so much control, which can be very hard for them to overcome, and rightfully slow. Like, I personally believe most creators that give this control don't even realize how much control they're giving, which I don't think is right. So I think that if you are going to do this with creators, making sure that they know how much control they are giving you, and that you have a proper contract in place. So those are the pros and cons of manual allow listing. The other option with Instagram is partnership ads. So these are more popular in my experience, and this feature came out after the manual allow listing. So Instagram had slash Meta had manual allow listing for quite a while, and then in the last few years they came out with Instagram partnership ads, which is much simpler, and you're going to notice is very similar to TikTok Spark ads. So partnership ads, formerly known as branded content ads. Creators share ad codes to turn content into ads on a post by post basis. So ad codes are only tied to a specific post. So when shared with the brand, so if this was the piece of content right here, this creator would just share the ad code for just this one piece of content with the brand, and they could just promote this one piece of content. It will always show that paid partnership tag, and brands cannot edit any of the content or customize the caption or engage with the comments like they can with the manual allow listing. So a lot less customization for the brands, but a lot easier and simpler for the creator and the brand. So the steps for doing an Instagram partnership ad is the creator has a professional Instagram account, and they authorize partnerships on their account. So they first have to authorize that. Step 2, they generate and share a partnership ad code for that content. And then the brand can create the partnership ad, input the code, and then they can boost that content as is, right? So very straightforward, much easier for that. Um, and in terms of pros and cons, so with this, you get a variety of ad formats. So actually, I think this answers Eileen's question. Story, static posts, reels. Brands can piggyback off of a creator's organic reach. And it's more straightforward and for everyone of what rights you're giving away, and less legwork as well, because you're not writing captions, you're not editing content. Like, you are literally just boosting the post the way it stands. Cons, it's fewer targeting capabilities than manual allow listing, and then ads are limited to, you have to get them on a per post basis versus getting all of the creators' posts. So that's the second type of Instagram allow listing. And then TikTok only has one type of allow listing, and it's called Spark Ads. So much more easy to wrap your head around. It's called Spark Ads, and it's creators sharing video codes with brands to turn those into ads, those organic videos into ads. So very similar to the one we just talked about on Facebook. So like partnership ads, Spark ad codes are unique to a specific post. Ads run under a creator's handle with a general sponsored label, and brands cannot edit the captions or create custom influencer audiences based on the data. So the steps for that, the creator authorizes the ad partnership account, creator generates that partnership ad code, they actually can set the time frame that they would want to give you access to that. So the presets are 7 days, 30 days, 60 days, and 365 days. So whatever you have agreed upon with that creator in their agreement is what they will give you. And then the brand creates a new ad in their account and inputs that ad code. So very similar to partnership ads on Facebook. Very, very similar. I think Facebook even modeled it after this one when they created it. Pros, very similar to the pros of Spark Ads, seamless, straightforward. It gives flexibility and control for the creators. It's less work for the creative setup, and then you don't get to do all the customization that you can with manual allow listing on Meta. So, what is the best type of allow listing for your brand? So, manual does give you lots of benefits, but you have to know that it's very, very time consuming. So, um, we've gone through the process with creators before, and I've seen it. And every time I go through it, I'm like, how can this be so painful? But it's a very painful process, and Meta's not making it not making it easier, and it doesn't seem like they're investing in that manual allow listing. And I do think that they're eventually going to sunset it or merge it into the new partnership ads. So something to keep in mind. Partnership ads and Spark ads are less legwork, much easier to get the codes. So if you're going to decide what's best for you in terms of even partnership versus Spark, always think, where's your audience hanging out? Where are most of your creators posting about you? So where do you want to put that energy of like running those influencer campaigns? Do you have the bandwidth to scale? And then how many ads do you plan to promote? Which we're going to talk about some best practices for that. Which is perfect. Going into best practices and examples of some awesome ads. So, first, TikTok Spark ad best practices. So, early impact, opening your video with a hook is crucial. So, this is just true about all content. All content on TikTok really is that hook. And we talk to creators all the time and they know that too, right? Like they're constantly trying to create content that has like a good hook that draws people in, which once again, incentives are aligned in terms of what you want for ads and what they're creating on their organic feed. But 50% of the impact of a TikTok ad happens in the first 2 seconds. So I think that's really interesting. So when you're thinking about which ones to promote, you want ones that really grab you. So the best ad hooks for viewers to hype up results for an outcome is these are ones we've seen is like seeing if product X lives up to the hype, testing out a new viral new blank. I was honestly so surprised. It really pulls people in and they want to know, what are you surprised about? Right. So these are some examples of ones that have been proven to work well. And then Spark Ads best practices. So TikTok came out saying that Spark ads that are under 15 seconds drive 38% higher sales lift than longer ads. So this is interesting when you are picking what to Spark. But as we're going to talk about with best practices, you're going to want to test all sorts of stuff because still some of the ads that you least expect are the ones that actually perform. And then even with longer form ads, the first few seconds make or break. And then example, most click through interactions with a 4-minute ad happen within the first 5 seconds. So kind of interesting from that perspective too. I have been seeing some like murmurings of like longer form ads as well working, more like infomercial type ads. So I'm curious to see how that trend changes some of these stats over time. And then speaking of trends, trends are so crucial on TikTok. And this is why we're going to talk about this, but like the ad fatigue on TikTok is pretty quick. Like people are going to get bored of one thing and you kind of have to jump to the next thing, right? So you obviously have to make sure all of the content is royalty free. So royalty free music, memes, filters, and formats to be able to capitalize on boosting stuff that's trending, which unfortunately a lot of trends don't have royalty free music, or they're using like music that you can't use in ads. But if there is something trending with royalty free music, you should hop on that as soon as possible, get some creators to create content and post about it. Things move fast, so creators have a pulse on all of it. So the other benefit of just running always on campaigns with influencers and creators is that they're already on these pulses, so you're just having content roll in and then you can just keep testing it as different trends pop up. Ad creatives made specifically for TikTok by creators result in the highest ad recall and performance according to TikTok. So this also goes back to I've talked about this on other webinars, but repurposing content for both TikTok and Reels. Like it can work, but it's always best to be using content that was created specifically for that one platform, because the platforms do have very different vibes and user interactions, even though they are very similar products. And then when in doubt, test more ads. So TikTok recommends 3 to 5 creatives per ad group for Spark ads. So think about that. This is a great adjustment to make if you are using less creatives than this. We've been talking to some of our clients, and they say that this is really crucial, that for every ad group, so every ad group that's going toward the same campaign, you need to have 3 to 5 that are testing so that you can find the winner and then put the rest of the budget toward that. So you want to make sure you have enough. And then the more that you test, the faster you can optimize. So I highly recommend going back to like, it's sometimes the rough content that performs well. Like our team, I think the one thing that most advertisers can agree on is they can never guess which piece of content is going to perform. We actually did a panel discussion with some experts about their experiences with Allow Listing a few months ago. And they were saying how every single time their top performing piece was something that was ripped, or like the box was ripped, and they were like, oh, we didn't want to push it, but we tested it and ended up being the best performing piece. So working in marketing as long as I have, I know brands are so it's very precious that they have beautiful, like their product looks perfect in the ads. That's not the case anymore, and the smart brands are realizing it. So if you do want to watch that panel discussion we did, I see Sam just popped it up on the screen. So that's a really great discussion with some great talented marketers in the space about how they're actually using the different allow listing, and just using creator content and ads in general. Um, and then taking advantage of TikTok's hyper targeted algorithm requires refining content. So, what's so interesting about TikTok is that the algorithm drives everything. Like, it's even when you're working with creators, most of the people viewing their content are not their followers. It's the algorithm pushing it to who seems to want it, which is amazing actually for marketers, right? Because you want the algorithm to push it to people who seems that they want it. So that's really important as well, and to think about that in terms of the different ad sets that you're testing. And then Spark Ads and TikTok Shop. I wanted to give this a call out too. So TikTok Shop launched a few months ago now, and I know we've been talking to several of our brands. We have a few brands testing it. We're still in the early days. We're still learning. We actually have a whole webinar on TikTok Shop as well. If you're interested and want to learn that, I'll have Sam pop that up there too. But what's really cool about how TikTok Shop and Spark Ads come together is that creators can now share in the upside of top performing Spark Ads. So if I was a creator and I posted about a lipstick and I linked to the TikTok shop for that lipstick, and then that lipstick company boosted my piece of content where I linked to their shop, every sale that happens through the ad, I actually will get that affiliate kickback on, which incentivizes me to create more and more great content for them to use. But also, the brand has to keep in mind that they set up their affiliate program right, so they're not losing money as well. So the checkout happens right natively through TikTok. So here's some screenshots. So if you were to click on that ad, you'd see that. And then you would click right into it. So creators get affiliate revenue from products that are purchased via their videos. And then affiliate rates are set by the brand and can vary based on the creator or the product. So if you want to learn more about that, definitely check out our other webinar on TikTok Shop, because that's its own animal, but it is really cool how the synergy between Spark Ads and TikTok Shop works. Um, and then here's some examples of some awesome TikTok Spark ads. I always love on these webinars to share real life examples with you. We will be sending these in the follow up with the recording, so you can actually watch them as well. But you can see a few of them here from Drunk Elephant, Kendra Professional. So we'll send those out to you and J Crew, so you can like see how they did it live in action. And then jumping over to Instagram partnership ad best practices. So first, don't be afraid to experiment with different formats. So reels, you have stories, you have all the you have static in feed posts. So if you are concerned of like which one should I start with reels though, because 2/3 of consumers say that short form video is the most engaging type of content on social media. Static posts are still popular with some industries, so it still doesn't hurt to test. And then don't forget about stories. So ad spending on stories is up 25% from 2022 to 2023. So whenever you see that within a channel, marketing channel, that normally means that it's working, and brands are spending more on it. So in terms of Instagram partnership best practices, mix and match in-house creators with creatives with allow listing on Instagram. So campaigns that combine partnership ads with BAU, which stands for business as usual ads, drove 53% higher click-through rates and 19% lower cost per action. So something that I'll talk about more as we get through the end of this presentation is this is not, you shouldn't drop all of your other ads. It's still important to have a combination, but it really is merging them together in a way where they can build off of each other, right? So here is a quote from Estee Lauder where they said, "We noticed strong brand lift results by combining branded content ads with usual brand awareness ads. Results impacted both our brand awareness and created significant uplift in sales." And there's many case studies that prove this, where when you combine the two is really where the magic happens. And then same with TikTok, we have some really great examples of Instagram partnership ads that have branded content ads in that category, or I should partnership ads in that category. So we will also send those so you can take a look at them and see real ones in action. So now jumping into trends, best practices, and overall just allow listing strategies. So like I just said, you should supplement your paid ad strategy, but you should not replace it with all allow listing. So Meta recommends running allow listing ads with business as usual ads for best results. They say this over and over again. They've done many tests. I saw them present at a conference a little while ago where they showed all the numbers side by side, and it was the combination of the two that really made the difference. And they even have some great case studies on their website. And we also pulled in a case study that from one of our clients. But here's one from Carlton Dry. The brand's campaign saw a lift across all ads when adding creators to their marketing mix. They saw a 58% higher incremental reach, they a 1.6 times longer average watch time compared to the usual campaign, and a 45% decrease in the cost per through play compared to an ad account average. So that was their whole account got decreased by that much when they added creators into the mix. And then Viore, which is in the shampoo space, when it comes to producing in-house creative versus running UGC, we run both. But what is undeniably true for us is that UGC has allowed us to scale. It's that ability to add more into the equation, to run more creatives, and to try new things. We would not be able to move as aggressively if we didn't have as much UGC. So I think the reason why also that combining the two is really the secret sauce is just because it does allow you to get that volume and just test more creatives. The one thing that more is more is when you're testing ads, you want to make sure you have enough variety. And it's very rare that a brand has too many ads they're testing just because it's so hard to get enough content. Um, and then here's some tips for avoiding performance decay and ad fatigue. So, the concept of ad fatigue is that when someone sees your same exact ad creative enough times, they almost become blind to it. So, there's a bunch of studies around this, and that's what causes performance decay. And this is why, to prevent ad fatigue, you should be switching your creatives regularly. Now, every brand and industry is different. There are also some outliers. Like, there's always that one creative you find that ends up not having ad fatigue for 6 months, and it's like the holy grail, or even at best case a year. But most of them, it's actually a few weeks and it already starts seeing ad fatigue. So conventional wisdom is ad creators on TikTok tend to lose steam faster than Instagram, and TikTok explicitly recommends updating creatives every 7 days to avoid ad fatigue. So 7 days, lots of content needed. And then Meta recommends capping targeting frequency, so they actually have that ability within Meta at 1 to 2 weekly. So what target frequency means is that they will only show one individual your ad maximum of 2 times in a week to help avoid that ad fatigue. So you're going to want to make sure to turn that on in there if you want to take advantage of that. And then, like I said, every campaign is different. When in doubt, test and monitor. You can start seeing when the ad fatigue kicks in. But I think the trick is to have more content, in the queue, so that as you're starting to see it come down, you can add in those new ones. And then there was a ton of really great discussions happening on Reddit that we came across, and they all had a very similar theme to this screenshot I have here, where they're always saying, "I've been running TikTok for about a year now, and the biggest thing I've learned is creative is king. You need to be pumping out tons of new creatives every week to keep your ads fresh. And once you find one or two diamonds in the rough, you need to scale them fast. I have tons of experience with Facebook, but TikTok creative is a different beast." And this was over and over again what we kept saying is just like the number of tests is key. It's almost like I say this with micro influencers all the time is you need to cast your wide net because you don't know what's going to hit, and then when one hits, it ends up making up for all the rest. I feel like ads is very similar to that. Um, and then embrace and experiment with content variety. So, Allow Listing offers an opportunity to test all sorts of different ad creatives. Don't assume that raw content will underperform. You should actually assume the opposite because the research shows this. So, 20% of consumers skip over polished, unrelatable influencer ads. So, the more polished, it's like a inverse correlation, right? The more polished, the less the engagement is. So, I think if you take away anything from this webinar as well, and this is, I think, the most common mistake I see with brands is they'll tell, I hear brands all the time like, oh, she's wearing a ugly shirt, so I don't want to put that with my brand, or like her room has like garbage in the background or like a trash can or something, and I don't want to put ads behind it. Well, real people do have a trash can in their room. Real people do have a messy makeup cabinet. And I think that that's why you will actually see better engagement with those. So I highly recommend to test that. And I do think the brands that are going to get left behind are the ones that are just have such a hold on, I have to make sure every single piece of content is perfect that I promote. So go with the data, test and learn, but don't just assume that if you think something's ugly or pretty that it will perform, right? Um, and there was one Instagram case study that I thought was really interesting too is MAC Cosmetics, which they're known for historically pretty polished content. They kept finding that they were getting much better results with all the unphotoshopped, unpolished creatives as well. And then imperfect ads do earn that highest click-through rate when in the studies that have been done for both Meta and TikTok. And then Allow Listing is more effective when done at scale. TikTok recommends 3 to 5 ad creatives per ad set. And then, like I said, then they recommend switching those every 7 days. Cycling ad creatives helps prevent performance decay because no one wants to see the same ad over and over again. And then most brands are running dozens of ads at any given time, um, and seeing what works and killing the ones that aren't and boosting the ones that are. And then one way to really scale this is through micro influencer partnerships. So getting some sort of always on program where you have content creators posting content about you regularly so you can constantly keep testing this. Um, and then with that, we're actually about to get to wrap up as well, and I'll open it up for questions because I think I see a few trickling in. But I did want to just once again shout out that we do have that new feature. If this does sound interesting to you, where it allows you with 2 clicks to get that ad code, making it much easier, so you can turn your always on campaign with Statosphere and then just get those ad codes and test and learn, just like we've talked about. And if you are interested in learning more about this and see if Statosphere is a fit, feel free to click this link on the screen and you can talk to one of our specialists. We'll learn more about your needs and if we're a good fit, and even set up a demo to show it to you in person, I should say, and virtually. So with that, are there any questions that are popping up? Please drop them in the chat and Sam will pull them and I'll stay on for a few minutes and answer those. Let's see. Is there any way to get access to create a lookalike audience based on the creator's audience without full access to their ads manager? I have not found one, Marley. If you find one, let me know. I do think that that also, with a lot of the permissions and the new permission policies in general, we're going to see less and less options to even do that. But yes, I have not found one without doing the full ads manager, or what I called in this presentation manual allow listing. I have not found one. If anyone else on this call has, please feel free to drop that that in the chat as well. But I have not found that before. Any other questions that popped up? If not too, you can feel free to send any. We'll be sending an email recap after this call. So with the recording and some of those ad examples. So if you do have any questions that bubble up as you're thinking about it, please shoot them my way. It comes from my email. So I'm happy to respond to them. If you have any other webinar topics you'd like for us to cover, just let me know as well. I'm excited as we're planning for the rest of the year and all of our different webinars. You'll get those updates. And I'd love to see you at more webinars in the future. Awesome. Have a great day, everyone.